There is a specific kind of quiet that settles in after you stop trying. It's different from the anxious silence of waiting for a message. That old silence was loud, a buzzing in your nervous system, a constant checking of the phone that had become a physical tick. This new quiet is something else. It feels like a room in your own house that you've just entered for the first time. It is spacious and a little unnerving. You didn't make a grand announcement. There was no final dramatic text. You simply stopped. You stopped initiating. You stopped sending the funny meme you saw that made you think of him. You stopped being the first to say good morning. You stopped filling the pauses in his day with your energy, your questions, your availability. You just stopped plugging yourself into a circuit that was no longer feeding you. And in the space that followed, the first thing you probably noticed was nothing. Nothing at all. His pattern didn't change, because his pattern was already one of reception, not initiation. The silence from his side simply continued, but now it was meeting your own. It was like two mirrors turned to face each other, reflecting an endless, quiet corridor. And this is the first, most painful test. The moment your mind whispers, "See, it didn't matter. I wasn't even there." This is the moment the ego wants you to believe that your withdrawal has proven your insignificance. But what if that initial nothingness isn't proof of your lack of value? What if it is the sound of a complex psychological machine grinding to a halt? What if his silence isn't empty, but is, in fact, a fortress? A fortress his conscious mind, his ego, is desperately trying to hold. We are not talking about games. We are not talking about manipulation or tactics to make him do anything. We are talking about the fundamental physics of the human psyche. When a constant source of energy is removed from a system, the system doesn't just continue as normal. It begins to change. Slowly at first, and then all at once. What is happening inside him is not a simple thought process of, "Oh, she's not texting me." It is a deep, unconscious disturbance. A disturbance to his ego, a crack in his persona, and a confrontation with a void he didn't even know you were filling. The first stage is often denial, managed by the ego. His ego is the part of his psyche that identifies with control, with being the one who is desired, the one who sets the pace. For a man whose ego is structured around being calmly, coolly in the driver's seat, your constant availability was the fuel. It confirmed his desirability without him needing to risk anything. Your texts, your calls, your plans, they were all data points proving his importance. He didn't have to chase because he was already being met. When you withdraw, his ego's first response is not panic, it's pride. It tells him, she's just playing a game, she'll be back. They always come back. It's a defense mechanism designed to protect him from a terrifying thought, that he might have lost something of value, and that he might be, in some way, responsible. So he doubles down on his silence. He posts a picture of himself out with friends. He makes sure his online status is active. His silence becomes performative. It's a broadcast intended for an audience of one. He is silently shouting, "I am fine. I don't need you. Your absence has no effect on me." This is the fortress of the ego. It is built from the bricks of pride and mortared with the fear of vulnerability. From the outside, it looks impenetrable. It looks like indifference, and it hurts. It feels like a confirmation of your worst fears. But you are not seeing indifference. You are seeing a desperate defense. He is not ignoring you. He is actively managing the cognitive dissonance that your absence has created. His entire sense of the dynamic was predicated on your predictable orbit around him. Now, the planet has left its orbit, and the sun's ego insists it is still the center of the universe. But this is only the surface. The deeper truth is that while his conscious ego is putting on a show, his unconscious is beginning to register a serious anomaly. This is where the psychology becomes far more interesting than a simple battle of wills. This is where we must talk about the persona. Carl Jung described the persona as the social mask we wear. It's the version of ourselves we present to the world, the cool guy, the successful professional, the unflappable stoic. For many men, the persona is one of effortless independence. He doesn't need anyone. He is self-sufficient. Relationships are a pleasant addition, but not a necessity. This persona is carefully constructed and fiercely protected. Your constant availability was essential to maintaining this persona. It allowed him to feel connected and desired, without ever having to show the vulnerable, needy part of himself. You did the emotional work. You took the risks. You bridged the distance. Your energy allowed him to maintain the illusion of his own complete independence, because the messy work of connection was outsourced to you. When you withdraw, you are not just taking away your attention. You are taking away a key piece of scaffolding that holds up his persona. Suddenly, to get the connection he was passively receiving, he would have to do something. He would have to risk rejection. He would have to expose a need. He would have to step out from behind the mask of the unbothered man and admit, if only to himself, that he wants something he no longer has. This creates an internal crisis. The persona says, "I don't care." But the deeper, more authentic part of his psyche, the part that enjoyed your warmth, your humor, your presence, is beginning to feel a chill. It's like a man standing in a perfectly curated, minimalist apartment that suddenly feels cold and empty. He can't immediately pinpoint why. The furniture is the same. The art is on the walls, but the warmth is gone. The life force has been unplugged. He might not even have the emotional language to identify what he's feeling. It may not register as, "I miss her." It may register as irritation, restlessness, a sudden dissatisfaction with his life. He might pick fights with his friends or feel bored with his hobbies. This is the unconscious trying to send a signal to the conscious ego. It's saying, something is wrong, the system is out of balance. The empty chair in the corner of his mind is starting to draw his attention. He keeps glancing at it, annoyed by its emptiness, but his pride, his persona, forbids him from admitting he wants someone to be sitting there. This is the second stage, unconscious disturbance. It's a low-grade hum of anxiety beneath the surface of his carefully constructed calm. He might find himself checking his phone, but for no reason. He might open your old chat history, read your last messages, and then close the app with a surge of confusing anger or frustration. Who is he angry at? You, for stopping? Or himself, for feeling this way? His ego can't allow the latter, so the frustration is projected outward. She's so dramatic, his ego might say. She's playing games. This narrative protects him from the much more frightening truth. Her presence mattered, and I did not value it enough. And here, we go even deeper. We have to talk about the part of you that he carried inside him. In Jungian psychology, this relates to the concept of the anima. The anima is the unconscious feminine aspect within a man's psyche. It is an inner image of the feminine, built from his experiences with his mother, sisters, and all the significant women in his life. A man often projects this inner image onto an outer woman. When he was with you, and you were fully available, he was projecting a part of his anima onto you. You were not just you. You were also carrying the role of the nurturing, understanding, ever-present feminine energy in his life. You were, in a sense, doing the work of his own inner feminine for him. You were providing the soul, the connection, the emotional depth that his own psyche was perhaps not yet ready or willing to integrate. When you stop being available, you are not just withdrawing your personality. You are, in a very real psychic sense, recalling your projection. It's as if you've taken back a piece of his soul that he had outsourced to you. And now, there is a void inside him. He is left alone with his own undeveloped anima, with his own inability to generate that warmth and connection for himself. This is a profound crisis, and one that almost no man can consciously articulate. He won't think, "My anima projection has been withdrawn." He will feel it as a sudden, inexplicable loss of meaning, a sense of dis-ease. The world might seem a little more gray, a little less vibrant. This is why a man can be in a room full of people and suddenly feel utterly alone after a woman has withdrawn her energy. He is not just missing a person, he is missing a vital part of his own psychological ecosystem. The ego will fight this tooth and nail. It will tell him to find a replacement, to download a dating app, to text another woman, to find someone else to fill that empty chair immediately. This is the ego's frantic attempt to patch the hole, to find another screen for his projection so he doesn't have to face the void within himself. Sometimes this works, for a while. He might find a temporary distraction, but the unconscious knows the difference between a placeholder and the real thing. The new person doesn't fit the specific shape of the void you left. The projection doesn't quite stick. This is the point where his behavior can become confusing and contradictory. He might watch your social media stories but never react. He might like a post from 3 weeks ago in the middle of the night. These are not strategic moves. These are the glitches in his ego's fortress. They are small, unconscious feelers sent out from the part of him that is in distress, trying to see if the connection still exists. It's the psychological equivalent of a phantom limb. He's reaching for something that is no longer there. It is crucial for you, the woman who has withdrawn, to understand this. These small signals are not necessarily a sign that he wants you back in the old way. They are signs of his inner conflict. His ego is fighting for control, while his soul is registering a loss. To respond to these small breadcrumbs with a flood of your old availability is to immediately resolve his tension for him. You would be rushing back to fix the machine that was designed to run on your energy. You would be putting the scaffolding back up around his persona, allowing him to retreat back into his mask of cool indifference, the crisis averted. The lesson, for both of you, would be lost. The deeper transformation for him can only happen if he is left to sit with the discomfort, if he has to confront the empty chair, if he is forced to ask himself, why does this bother me so much? This is the path to his own growth. He must learn to integrate his own anima, to develop his own capacity for connection, vulnerability, and emotional depth. He must learn to fill that warmth for himself, rather than demanding it from an external source. Now, let's turn the mirror back to you, because his journey is his. Yours is the one that matters to you. Why was it so important to be available in the first place? What part of you found its worth in being constantly needed? This is an invitation to look at your own shadow. The shadow, in Jungian terms, is the part of ourselves we repress or deny. For the woman who is perpetually available, the shadow often contains her own needs, her anger, her boundaries, and her fear of being abandoned if she is not constantly useful. Being the cool girl, the understanding girlfriend, the low-maintenance woman, is often a persona, just as his stoicism is. It's a mask worn to be loved, to be chosen. Underneath that mask is the shadow fear. If I show my real needs, my messy emotions, my desire for reciprocity, I will be rejected. I will be too much. So you learn to make yourself small. You learn to give more than you received, and to pretend it was enough. Your withdrawal is not a tactic to change him. It is an act of reclaiming your own shadow. It is you finally saying, my needs matter, my energy is finite, my peace is not for sale. You are choosing to sit in that empty chair yourself, to give yourself the attention and energy you were so freely giving away. This is why it feels so terrifying and so liberating at the same time. The terror comes from the old wound, the abandonment complex, that whispers you will be left all alone. The liberation comes from the self, the core of your being, that recognizes this as an act of profound self-respect. As you stay in your own center, something remarkable happens. The quality of your energy changes. You are no longer radiating a needy, anxious vibe of, please notice me. You are radiating a calm, self-contained energy. You are no longer a flickering candle, dependent on his attention for light. You are a star, burning with your own fire. And this shift is something a man's unconscious registers far more powerfully than any number of texts or calls. He feels this shift on a primal level. The anxious energy he could easily manage and control is gone. In its place is a quiet power that he cannot manipulate. It confuses him. It might even intimidate him. The dynamic he understood has been completely rewritten. He was the prize. Now, you seem to be operating in a reality where you are the prize. This is often when a more direct move comes. After the denial, after the unconscious disturbance, after the failed attempts to patch the void, comes the stage of testing or re-engagement. He might send a casual, low-effort text, "Hey, what's up?" or a reference to an old inside joke. It is absolutely critical to see this for what it is. It is not a declaration of love. It is not a promise of change. It is a ping. He is testing the circuit. He is checking if the old system can be rebooted with minimal effort. If you respond instantly, with all the enthusiasm and warmth you used to provide, you send a clear message. The system is back online. Nothing has changed. The crisis is over. His ego will be relieved. His tension will resolve. And you will be right back where you started, in the role of the pursuer, the energy provider. But if your response is different, if it is calm, polite, but not overly eager, if it matches his level of effort instead of exceeding it, if you respond but do not ask a question back, thus ending the conversation gracefully, you send a very different message. You send the message, the old system is permanently offline. The rules have changed. The price of my energy has gone up. This is not about being cold or cruel. It is about holding your value. It is about showing, not telling, that you are no longer willing to do all the emotional work. You are inviting him to meet you in the middle, a place he may have never had to venture before. This is his real moment of choice. Faced with a woman who is no longer a guaranteed source of ego validation, but a self-possessed individual, he has to decide. Does he rise to the occasion? Does he step out from behind his persona and engage in a more authentic, reciprocal way? Does he put in the effort to show he values you? Or does his ego find this too threatening, too much work, and retreat for good? Some men will retreat. Their fear of vulnerability, their ego's need for control, is simply too strong. They will seek out an easier source of energy, another woman who is willing to play the old role. And if this happens, it is a painful gift. It reveals that he was not capable of the kind of connection you truly deserve. You have not lost a partner. You have dodged a bullet. You have saved yourself from years of pouring your life force into a container that could never be filled. But other men, perhaps the ones with more courage or the ones for whom the loss felt more profound, will be intrigued. Your newfound self-possession makes you more, not less, attractive. Your boundaries don't push him away, they give him something to respect, something to move toward. He may become clumsy. He may not know the new rules. He might try to get the old dynamic back a few more times. But if he sees that your calm is not a tactic, but a new reality, he may begin to change his own approach. He might ask you a real question. He might suggest a concrete plan. He might show a flicker of genuine vulnerability. He is learning, perhaps for the first time, that your attention is not a given, it must be earned. Your presence is not a utility, it is a gift. If this exploration has named something you have felt but never been able to articulate, take a moment. This is not about winning a game against him, it is about winning yourself back. The ultimate goal is not to have him chase you. The ultimate goal is to reach a state where it doesn't matter if he does, because you are no longer chasing yourself. You are learning to inhabit your own life, to fill your own cup. The empty chair is no longer a symbol of his absence. It has become your throne. You have learned to sit in it, to occupy your own space, to be the queen of your own inner kingdom. And from that place of wholeness, you can engage with him or anyone else, not from a place of need, but from a place of choice. You are no longer looking for someone to complete you, because you are already complete. You are looking for someone who can meet you in your completeness. So if he does return, he will not find the anxious, over-giving woman he left behind. He will find a woman who knows her worth, a woman whose silence is not a punishment, but a sanctuary, a woman who is grounded in her own being. He will have to decide if he is man enough to enter that sanctuary, not as a conqueror, but as an equal. And if he never returns, you will look around the quiet, spacious room of your new life, and you will realize you are not waiting anymore. You are home. The silence is no longer an enemy. It is the sound of your own peaceful, sovereign heart beating steadily in your chest. You have stopped being available to him, and in doing so, you have finally, fully become available to yourself. My availability is a gift, not a default. The energy you reclaim is not just psychological, it is physical. It settles in your body. You may notice one day that the chronic tightness in your shoulders has eased. You sleep through the night without the jolt of cortisol that used to wake you at 3 a.m., your mind instantly racing to him. The act of picking up your phone no longer carries the phantom weight of hope and dread. Your breathing is deeper, slower. You are no longer living in a state of perpetual, low-grade anticipation, a state that keeps the nervous system on high alert. Your body, which had been bracing for the impact of disappointment or the thrill of a response, can finally stand down. It can finally rest. You feel more grounded, more present in your own skin, because you are no longer sending your life force out to orbit a distant star. You have called it home, back into the very cells of your being. While your body is finding this new equilibrium, his is beginning to experience the somatic chaos you just escaped. The unconscious disturbance we spoke of is not an abstract concept. It registers in his tissues, his nerves, his chemistry. His body had become accustomed to the regular, soothing dose of oxytocin and dopamine that your validation, your warmth, your attention provided. He didn't have to earn it. It was just there, a steady IV drip of connection that regulated his system. Now, the drip has been removed. He is in a state of neurochemical withdrawal. This is the body memory layer. His body remembers your soothing presence, even if his ego refuses to. This is why the restlessness feels so physical. It's an itch under his skin. It's the sudden, inexplicable urge to pace his apartment. He might feel a tightness in his chest that he mistakes for indigestion, or a clenching in his jaw while he's trying to fall asleep. His body is screaming for the regulation it has lost. He is now carrying the anxiety you used to hold for the both of you. He is feeling the effects of the energetic void, not just in his mind, but in his bones. This physical discomfort is a powerful catalyst because it's much harder for the ego to rationalize away than a mere feeling. He can tell himself he doesn't miss you, but he can't as easily command the knot in his stomach to untie itself. He can't use pride to silence the frantic, silent scream of his own nervous system. This is the body keeping the score, presenting irrefutable evidence that something vital is missing. This internal chaos forces a deeper confrontation with his shadow. Beyond the persona of the self-sufficient man is his repressed shadow self, the part of him that is deeply dependent, terrified of being alone, and perhaps feels fundamentally unworthy of love unless he is in a position of power. Your constant availability allowed him to keep this shadow locked away. He never had to face his dependency because you were always there. He never had to face his fear of being alone because your presence filled the silence. Now, in the quiet of his own life, the shadow begins to speak. The excuses his ego provided, she's playing games, she's being dramatic, start to sound hollow, even to him. A more terrifying, more honest voice begins to whisper from the depths. It doesn't say, "I miss her." It says, "What if she was the best thing that ever happened to me, and I let her go?" It says, "What if no one else will ever see me the way she did?" And most terrifying of all, what if she's right to leave? What if I am not enough? This is the confrontation with the unmothered boy within the man, the part of him that craves unconditional love, but has learned to protect himself from the pain of not receiving it by pretending he doesn't need it at all. You, in your availability, were unknowingly playing the role of the good mother, nurturing him without demanding anything in return. By withdrawing, you have forced him to face the fact that he is not a self-made man, but a person with needs, with wounds, and with a profound longing for connection that his ego has deemed a weakness. This brings us to a more advanced, more complex stage of testing. The initial, low-effort, "Hey" text was a simple ping to check the circuit. When you respond with calm, polite distance, showing him the old circuit is broken, he is faced with a choice. If he has any depth or courage, he won't just disappear. He will try again, but with a more sophisticated strategy. This is the late practical test. This test often comes in the form of what seems like a generous offering. He might reach out with big news, a promotion at work, a major accomplishment, or even a personal crisis, like a problem with his family. He isn't just saying, "Hey." He is presenting you with a piece of his life, baiting a specific hook. He is testing if he can pull you back into your old role. If it's good news, he's testing if you'll still be his number one cheerleader, the primary source of his validation. If it's bad news, he's testing if you'll still be his primary emotional caretaker, the one who rushes in to soothe his distress. Let's say he texts, "Just wanted to let you know I got the promotion we talked about." The old you would have erupted. "Oh my God, that's amazing. I knew you would. We have to celebrate. When are you free? I'm so proud of you." You would have flooded him with the energy and validation he was seeking. The new you, the you who is anchored in her own center, understands the subtext. Your response is crucial. It must be authentic, but not overgiving. It must be kind, but boundaried. A response like, "That's wonderful news. Congratulations, you earned it," is perfect. It is warm. It is genuine. It acknowledges his success, but it does not offer to organize the celebration. It does not ask a flurry of questions. It does not immediately make his achievement the center of your emotional world. You congratulate him. and then you fall silent. You place the responsibility for the next step of the conversation back onto him. You are showing him that you can be happy for him, but you are no longer responsible for managing his emotional highs and lows. You are no longer his primary validator or his primary comforter. You are a separate person, and your energy is now your own. This is profoundly disruptive to his old model of the world. He has offered you the familiar, comfortable role of his support system, and you have politely declined to audition. His reaction to this will tell you everything you need to know. A man who is only interested in what you can provide for him will be frustrated or confused by this response. He may get passive-aggressive or simply disappear again, his ego bruised because the validation he expected was not delivered with the usual intensity. But a man who is beginning to see you, not just the role you played, will be intrigued. Your response demonstrates strength and self-respect. It shows that you have your own emotional center. He may, for the first time, realize he has to engage with you as an equal. He might follow up with something that shows he is willing to do the work, like, "Thank you. I'd really like to see you. Are you free to get a drink this week so I can tell you about it?" Notice the difference. He is now asking for your time. He is proposing a concrete plan. He is moving from passively receiving your energy to actively seeking your presence. This is the beginning of a new dynamic, one built not on his needs and your availability, but on mutual interest and reciprocal effort. And so we arrive at the soft closing. This entire journey, from the first painful silence to this new, tentative beginning, was never truly about him. It was about you. It was about the reclamation of your own psyche. If he steps up and learns to meet you in this new, healthy space, it can be a beautiful thing, a relationship reforged in the fires of honesty and self-respect. It will feel calmer, safer, and more real than anything you had before, because it is a connection between two whole individuals, not a codependent dance of shadow and persona. But if he fades away, unable or unwilling to do the work, you must understand the profound victory you have still won. The goal was never to manipulate him into returning. The goal was to become a woman who no longer needs him to. The peace you have cultivated in your own nervous system, the self-respect you have built by honoring your own needs, the joy you find in your own company, these are the real treasures. They cannot be given to you by a man, and more importantly, they can no longer be taken away. You have learned to be the reliable source of warmth and validation for yourself. You have turned your compassionate attention inward. The quiet room of your life is no longer unnerving. It is a sanctuary. Whether someone is invited into that sanctuary is now a matter of your sovereign choice. You are not waiting for a text. You are not listening for footsteps at the door. You are simply living, breathing in the quiet satisfaction of being, finally and completely at home in yourself. The journey ends and begins with you.